everybody, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new tutorial, and I'm part of the Pinkfresh Studio's 4th birthday celebration. As part of this fun celebration, there are, of course, lots of giveaways, which I encourage you to head on over to my blog to learn more information about that. I do have a link for that down in the video description below. So for today's project, I'm going to be creating a card featuring the adorable Enjoy the Journey stamp set. This stamp set is full of darling images that are illustrated in a very whimsical style, and that's a style I really love. I'm going to be stamping these in Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink onto some Canson watercolor paper. I'm going to stamp this a couple times to get a nice good impression, and then I'll begin my watercoloring. When I watercolored these images, I didn't do anything too fancy. I did some pretty basic coloring. I will mention that the balloon that you see me coloring here, that large one, I needed to end up redoing at the end of this video, which I didn't capture on camera, but I did color it exactly the same. The only difference is that I stamped one of the sentiments from the Enjoy the Journey stamp set into the balloon with some dull pink Simon Says Stamp ink. That's the only change that I made when I recreated the balloon. Now for the rest of the images, I wanted to color these in a very simple yet whimsical style because first off, these images are very detailed and small. And secondly, I colored it very simply because these images are whimsically styled. And sometimes that really just basic coloring really blends well with the style of the images. For the girl's face, this was something I wanted to really point out to you. I used some very light browns that I watered down heavily. And then I used some pink towards the bottom of her face and faded that out really, really well. So that way, when you look at this girl, her face is extremely light, but it has a pink undertone towards the bottom and then the warmer brown tone towards the top. I did want to mention that because that was something special I did. After it dried, I did go back in and add some darker pink to her cheeks to give them a little bit more of a rosier tone. For the color scheme, I used something extremely colorful. I used pretty much every color in the rainbow. And I also chose colors that were more on the whimsical side. So I didn't go with anything too deep. I went with mostly bright, happy colors because that also goes well with the whimsical style. And for the shading on some of these images, I did try to add a little bit of shading here and there, but I wasn't getting too detailed with that. Now, with all of these images, this is where I was starting to think of how I wanted to create my background. Because I have so much color with the images here, I thought that bringing in the color towards the background would also lend well and pull the whole design together. However, I didn't want it to be dark. I wanted it to be fairly light and pastel because that'll help complement all the colors that we have going on here. So I brought in some Canson Bristol paper. This Bristol paper is not watercolor paper, so it doesn't handle watercolor quite the same. The watercolor tends to sit on top of the paper a little bit more, and as I was coloring, I'm getting a very streaky effect in the background, which is what I wanted. I wanted something that was a bit textured and messy. I also brought in some metallic paints from Prima. These metallic paints are some of my most favorite metallic paints, and I've used that to sprinkle on some splatters of the different colors, and I'm trying to focus those splatters into the areas of color that I'm using that complement. So I like all the purple splatters. I tried to keep in the purple areas, yellow in the yellow areas, and so on. After that dried, this is where I brought in the Basic Banners stamp set, also from Pinkfresh Studios, and I used some different shades of Altenew inks in light colors. So I chose Frosty Pink, Mango Smoothie, Sun-Kissed, Mountain Mist, and Soft Lilac. All of these colors are extremely light, and when they're stamped over top of the sections of color that coordinate with those particular colors in the background, that creates this really beautiful tone-on-tone effect, which is what I was going for. I didn't want these banners to be totally in your face because these are going to be behind all of the different images that are going over top. So you're really not going to see a ton of these banners, but it's going to accent this background beautifully. I did trim that down with a memory box die. This is the wrapped scalloped rectangles. And then I brought in a sentiment from that same Enjoy the Journey stamp set, and I white heat embossed that onto Simon Says Stamp black cardstock. I love the look of white embossing powder on black cardstock. It just pops. And that also complements the images really nicely too, because we've got so much color here. By having that nice black greeting, that helps it not be quite so distracting and distract from the images, but also let the sentiment stand out as well. I also finished up the card by adding some sparkle using a Tonic AQUA Shimmer glitter pen. These glitter pens from Tonic Studios are so gorgeous and have a perfect clear shimmer, and it's something I really love adding to my projects. Also from Tonic Studios, I brought in the Morning Dew Nuvo drops. I just wanted some subtle clear drops in the background to help give a little bit of texture. And I also use that Nuvo drops to add some dimension to the heart that's in my balloon. That's going to finish up the card featuring these adorable Pinkfresh Studio products. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you will head on over to the blog to get more information on the supplies used, which I also have linked down below in the video description. And you can head on over to my blog to get more information on the Pinkfresh Studio birthday celebration blog hop. Thanks so much for joining me. I will be back again very soon with another video tutorial for you. And until then, have a great day. Bye!